Welcome to the Dog Day Show. I'm pleased you've joined us today. The topic we're talking about today is about the challenges teachers face. Everybody remembers a good teacher. I remember the teacher who taught me when I was about 2 years old or 3 years old. He was a good teacher. But we know that teachers face lots of challenges. And today on the show, we are going to talk the challenges teachers face, not only in Australia, but everywhere in UK, United States. There is a problem in the teaching profession. And in particular, the problems faced by the teachers because of high workload. Not only about workload, we're also talking about the challenges they face in terms of childhood behaviors or people behaviors, challenging behaviors they face as teachers. And from statistics I've been going through, in the first 5 years in the profession, the junior teachers, if I can call them, 30 to 50% leave in the first 5 years in Australia, and the same percentage in England, for instance. And in the United States, it's about 25% that leave public schools within the 5 years. So what is happening in the teaching profession that there's an exodus of people leaving the profession earlier on? Joining us today on the Dog Day Show is Belinda Matthews. Belinda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Meg Bassett.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much, ladies, for taking this opportunity to come to the show. You are teachers.
Yes.
And the topic we're talking about is the challenges teachers face. And this is prevalent across the whole world. I was looking at everywhere. I was looking at the trends in Netherlands. I was looking in the United States, in England, Canada, Australia. There is an exodus of junior teachers, if I can call them, those who are qualified in the profession for the first 5 years, and they leave. Australia, 30 to 50%. In England, like I said, it's about 25%, 30 to 50%. And in the United States, 25% leaving the public schools. What is going on? And it sounds like the common exit thing stated. When you do the exit interview, most people state that the huge workload is the number one thing. And also the challenging behaviors they face from the pupils they're teaching. They are supposed to be teaching them, but they face lots of challenging behaviors. Those are the two things which are stated in the exit interviews. But today on the show, I thought maybe we should talk about challenging pupil behaviors, challenging behaviors. We've got pupils who are difficult to manage, hyperactive, they throw things, they swear, they do all those things. That's the purpose of our talk today. And I'm glad that you've agreed to come to help me disseminate this. And from your experience, we just want to go through this. Now, Belinda, you've been a teacher for 20 years. That's wonderful.
20 years, yes.
That's over 20 years. That's a wonderful track record there. So you passed the 5-year mark.
Yes, yes.
And Meg, you've been a teacher 5 years now?
Yep.
And you've jumped the hurdle 5 years. And there's so much research that most people, they live within 5 years. And in England, when I was looking at that, 5 times men leave than compared to women. 5 times men, they leave for some reason. And the result of that is, now the classes become larger because you can't get the teachers to fill up the gaps. So you got larger classes, and this is passed on to the teacher. Now you got huge workload. You got a bigger class to manage, and you can't do your work properly. And the result of that is the outcome, the pupils, their performance decreases because you can't do as much work as you are supposed to because you've got a big class, and it becomes a challenge. Now the pupils, and we've got some here sitting in the background, these teenagers, these are the leaders of tomorrow. They need to be taught properly. They need to be exposed to what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give them a preparation for the future. But if you're not doing your work properly because you've got too much workload, you've got too many children in the class, you've got too many challenging behaviors you face, it becomes difficult for you. How has that been your track, your 20 or more than 20 years experience? How has that been for you in terms of challenging behaviors, not in terms of workload?
I have experienced some classes and some mixture of students that have very high behaviour needs. And it's really about having that positive attitude and building that relationship with their children. Relationship's so important. If you don't have a relationship, you don't have that connection to then help the students change their behaviours or make different choices.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of challenging behaviors have you faced? What are the common ones?
Common ones are students calling out and interrupting other students, making comments to other students, trying to get attention. So I guess it's more attention seeking is the common behaviour that I see in classes, and I guess I've seen it that across the 20 years.
Yes.
But I feel as though in the last 10 years, I think it's becoming more and more children wanting attention.
Yes. Yes. I was going through some other papers again. These are the common things the teachers face, basically. Hyperactivity, you say that. Aggression, you say that. And also self-harm. And some of them are just withdrawn. They don't engage in the class. And some of them are just fearful for some reason. They just they don't come up front as it's supposed to be. And some of them are just anxious to be in the school.
Yeah.
How has that been for you, Meg? Have you faced the same problems? Or?
Yeah, certainly. I think that the relationship is the first thing you need to do, establish that relationship with the students. And often they will have all sorts of emotional baggage that they bring with them to school, and you don't know that when you walk into a classroom fresh and it's a new class. So it's personally, I think it's critical to take the time to get to know your students. Some of them might have diagnoses that you need to know about, some of them may not. But knowing where they're at, what they struggle with before you start to try and teach them anything, I think is critical.
That's right, that's okay. So what has been the impact? Let's say you got a problematic child in class. You got, what's your class sizes? Number 20?
25 to 30 in primary school.
So if you got two children who are problematic in class, how is the impact on other 28 children? And you've got two who need more attention than others. Now you're devoting most of your time to controlling them. What is the impact on the other 28? They'll say we are now kind of put aside, and these guys are getting all the teacher's time.
As a teacher, you have different strategies, and some are, we call it tactical ignoring. So you're ignoring those students who are wanting attention or doing behaviours that are unfavourable, and so that you can give that attention to the other kids. It can be hard at times to get around to everybody in the class, to really support everyone's individual needs. In any class that you have a huge range of abilities and needs. It's not just, say, a grade 5 class, you just don't have all the students at the grade 5 level. They can range from below grade 5 to above grade 5 levels. And you need to get around to them as much as possible. And it can take away that time for them if you're focusing on those two, like you were saying, in that example.
That's right. And Meg, coming to you, we've got problematic children, two children, let's say, in your class. And I'm looking at the impact on you as a teacher. What is the impact of those children? I mean, each day you have to wake up and say, "Oh God, I'm going to work." If you don't feel like going, and you see those children flipping up in your mind.
Well, to be honest, that doesn't happen to me. I honestly, because teaching is my second career and I chose it, I have not had a day in 5 years where I've actually thought, I don't want to go to school because of this child or that child. I think because I've been a mentor teacher as well, you get to know the kids really well. And once you know them and you know their story, you care about them. So if they're acting up in the classroom, there's a reason. So you work out what that reason is and you help them if you can, or you direct them to where they can get help to fix whatever's triggering the behaviour. So it's a problem to be solved as far as I see it, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And do you engage with the parents, or how do they come in?
Where I work is a boarding school, so the majority of students in secondary are boarders, so it can be difficult to engage with parents sometimes, but certainly if I feel I need to, I will ring parents, ring the dorm staff.
Yeah.
There's a school nurse, we all work together to look after the
together.
kids.
And it's
Yeah, what's the something?
important to have that relationship with the parents as well. So if you have some students who are making different choices with their behaviour, it's really building that relationship with the parents and understanding the parents' situation, understanding the parents are doing the best they can with what they know,
That's right.
and not judging the parents for how their child is behaving in class.
Right.
So it's not only about having that relationship with the students, it's building that relationship of support and teamwork with the parents.
Teamwork.
Yeah. The parents and the teachers, we want the same thing.
Yes.
We want the best for their child.
For the parents, yeah. You're talking to the parent that's
Yes,
watching there.
yeah. So the parents and the teachers want the same thing, the same
Yes.
outcome for their child is to have
Yes.
the best outcome for their child.
Yes.
And so working together and understanding that we are coming from the same reason
Yes.
helps to build that connection with the parents as well.
I like the way you said, Meg, when you said it's about understanding the child, what could be going on with the child.
Yeah.
Because not every child is coming from good background. Some are coming
That's
from
correct.
single parent, single dad, single mother. There could be some issues in the family itself. There could be maybe domestic violence.
Yep.
It could be substance misuse, using drugs, the parents or some siblings in the house. It could be a complicated environment for the child. And this
Absolutely.
child walks up to you and you don't know what's happening in the background. It becomes so difficult for you to deal with because what you're trying to impart on the child, then they go home, they see a different scenario. So
Yeah.
which is very important now, you have to work with the teachers, with the parents, apologies for that. But that is if the parents are willing to engage. If the parents themselves they've got issues, it becomes so difficult to help the child. It's very challenging because I see that in my career that so the child comes with got behavior issue, it comes with the parent, you're telling the child, you're supposed to do, some of them are very sensible children, they're 9, 12, 13, they understand. But the parent says, no, I'm okay. He can do 4 subjects, he can do 3 subjects. And I'm trying to encourage, let's do maybe more. You're preparing the child for the future. These are the future leaders. But the parent is not, is not on the same book with you. She's thinking, or he's thinking differently. He's not seeing the point that the child needs help. So it depends again on the parents, to be honest. Now look at the challenges you face. I was looking at what's called the reactive and proactive strategies. And you try to go into that.
Yeah.
And proactive, you are planning ahead. You're planning in case A happens or doesn't happen, I've got plan B, for instance. Is that kind of scenario you use or strategies you use? And I know I just got an email from another journal and they're talking about proactive, reactive in the teaching profession. I don't know, so somebody just sent me an email today. So is that something that, I think that because of the exodus of teachers leaving the profession, I think now that's the way forward, proactive strategy.
Most schools, if there's a child who have high needs around their behaviour, or even like Meg suggested with disability, most schools have a plan in place where the team have sat down, and if the parents are willing, they're a part of this meeting, and we talk about what's the best way to support the child.
The child,
And there may be steps involved, and the child's taken through this as well, so that the child's aware, look, when I start to get a bit emotional or I'm getting a bit angry, these are some of the strategies that I can use, and the teacher supports the child through those steps and the strategies.
Yes.
So that most schools, well, every school that I've worked in has had that in place to have a plan to support the students.
That's good. So you got those challenges. We said you got huge workload. You've got challenging children who are problematic in class. Those are the two main things facing the teachers. Supposing you don't get those resources available, let's say you don't get the teacher support or from colleagues, from peers, there is no debriefing, there's no meetings to discuss these challenges. And this now builds up on you. All the stress builds up on you. And eventually you become stressed. You got tension. You don't want to go to work. You want to go for time off. You want some sick note, some time off, because there is no resources in place maybe to help you. Have you ever faced a situation whereby you felt like you're left out? You have to deal with it. Because believe me, I've heard teachers come to me as patients saying they are left out. There's no support mechanisms at all from colleagues, from the system. There is nothing like psychological therapy, in terms of coping strategies, dealing with challenging, problematic children. There's nothing in place. You just, teacher, this is your class. That's the way you go. Class B, the teacher is facing the same problem. He or she has got their own problems. So you're kind of disjointed. Have you ever faced a situation at all in your more than 20 years experience?
Yeah, my second year actually, and I was at that point of, do I want to continue in teaching or do I want to be out?
Right.
So, I was thinking of being that 50% to leave the profession after 2 years. And I think I reached out to a different colleague and that support came. So it's really finding someone who can support you.
Yes.
If you're not getting the support that you need from, say, you're at the admin team or other colleagues, keep looking for that support, so that you can talk about let it out, really. So you're not holding that stress in and making yourself sick or not wanting to go to school. So
I was looking. Sorry,
I was just going to keep searching for that support.
Right. So burnout. That's. I was looking at the Netherlands. They did I think it's 2016. They did a survey or research. 1 in 5 teachers reported that they are burnout from heavy workload, and also problematic children, managing them in class. They are ill-equipped for that. It's not something that is, I don't think, taught in teaching career or teacher training period. Are you taught how to deal, let's say, with a child with hyperactive disorder, a child with autism or something like that? Are you taught how to deal with those children at all?
I taught how to cope with different types of students in your classroom, but it's very different being there and doing it in practice than it is sitting in a university lecture.
That's right.
I think the thing that's most important is to look after yourself as a professional. I like to think of teaching as like an extreme sport. It really is. You have to be so on the ball and energetic in a classroom to engage your students, and you can't do that if you're not looking after yourself. So coping with burnout, people need sleep, they need exercise, they need a life outside of school if that's at all possible, friends and colleagues to talk to, all that stuff, because you need outlets and stress management techniques, definitely.
That's right. You want to add something to that?
I've in my career, I have seen, unfortunately, teachers who take the extreme sport on, and who unfortunately don't know how to look after themselves and how to create that work-life balance. And that's a role I'm actually going into next year. Another role I have next year is well-being at a school.
Right.
And really looking at how I can support teachers to create that work-life balance so that they're not reaching burnout, so that they're not stressed and concerned about the workload. They're managing things a lot better, and so they can be happy and enjoy their job. Because every day is different with children.
Yeah.
And children can be so funny, and you can have an absolute blast with them every day.
That's right.
If you're in that
Absolutely.
headspace.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
about understanding the child.
Yeah.
I was looking at another article again. They're saying when you build, if a teacher builds up a relationship with a child, the one who's going to benefit is the teacher.
Well, hopefully it's both ways.
Yeah. But they're saying it's beneficial for the well-being of the teacher
Absolutely.
rather than the child, actually.
I don't know if you've ever looked at mirror neurons as a theory, but it's really fascinating.
Right.
If you come into a classroom with a happy, positive outlook and a good energy, the
Yeah.
children will pick up
Yeah.
on that and reflect it back at you, and you create a classroom culture of, yay, everybody, we're learning today. Whereas if you come in and you're tired and you're down and you're grumpy, they'll pick up on that and reflect it back at you. So it's actually, you can make the choice before you walk in the classroom what kind of culture you want to have in that classroom.
Yeah, saying that there's research done in Melbourne, actually. Exactly
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
You saw that,
Yes.
yeah? Yeah, they looked at what, 97 teachers, and there was an observer. The teacher was given a questionnaire, and an observer was filling up a questionnaire. And they compared what the teacher completed, on the questionnaire and what the observer said on, and they matched. And they talked about the burnout, and like you're saying, I mean, pupils can see that you are not up to the ball, basically, and they can play on it.
Absolutely.
And they're very good at it.
Yes, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
In my career, I've had days where not feeling 100% like well health-wise, and I say that to the children because we're human, and children need to know that we are human. We're not these extraordinary people who just go every day. We do have emotions. We do have health issues as well.
Yes.
And I've always found letting the children know how I'm feeling at the beginning of the day,
Yeah.
and what I need from them for that day, has helped throughout my career for the day to flow a lot better, particularly in those times where I'm not feeling the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get lots of sympathies. They come and hug you. You get lots of kisses from them. The
Chocolates, no.
teachers are not feeling well. Teachers
But
are
if you have that relationship
Yeah.
established, then they understand, oh, we'll just give
Yeah.
Miss a bit of a break today and just be pleasant humans and get along. And it definitely works.
Is it the case that boys are more problematic than girls? There was a researcher saying boys are usually more problematic than girls.
I think personally that education is not designed as well
I
for
was thinking
boys
that,
as it is
yes.
for girls. So I don't think it's the boys that are the problem, it's what they're supposed to be doing. They're not naturally designed to sit for extended periods of time. Even when they're 15 or 16, they're not designed to be sitting for 6 hours a day listening. They want to be active. And I've had, because I'm lucky I teach art, I've had a lot of success with active, engaging activities
Yeah.
in my lessons where they get up and they move around and they can talk to each other, and they respond so much better to that than they do to just sitting. And that's just, they can't help it. It's just what they like.
And I agree with that. The curriculum is tailored more for a female audience, and it's up to the teacher. So this is another, could add more workload. It's up to the teacher to really design their lessons so that the boys are active, they're able to move around.
Yes.
And something we're seeing more of now is flexible seating arrangements in classes.
Right.
So children, particularly in the primary school, where children can sit at desks, or they might be able to sit on wobbly chairs, wobbly stools, where their movement is happening. They could be sitting on the floor with a tray, or laying
Well,
on
things
the
have
floor,
changed. Things have changed.
or at little tables like coffee tables,
They're allowed
where
to
they're
sit
sitting
there.
on the floor on cushions. So the classroom environment is starting to change, and I think that's helping boys so that they can change where they're sitting, how they're sitting throughout the day. But they still need that. They still are expected to focus for a long period of time, and that's where some of them do struggle.
Yeah. That's very interesting. It never happened in my time. You have to sit on your desk
Yes.
and then tied up,
Yes.
otherwise
Yes.
you get, we won't say it.
Not allowed to do that anymore.
Right. So for colleagues, okay, you got a colleague who's stressed out there, says, next year I'm not going back. I'm giving up. I've had enough of this. I got too much workload. I can't cope with the stress. I'm an unhappy person, I can't go and face those little kids again. And yet they want to be teachers. But they just can't cope. They got these negative emotions. We're talking about the tensions and the stress and all, sleepless nights and all that stuff. And some of them, I know in the medical profession, some of them end up maybe, abusing some things, medicines or drugs or whatever, to distress themselves.
Yeah.
So you got a colleague or watching a man or a female maybe saying, oh no, I have to give up, but what am I going to do after teaching? How can we help that person stay in the profession? We need teachers. Yes, because teachers are important. We all came from teachers. It doesn't have to be the formal school. Even a teacher, somebody helping to do carpentry, teacher could be in any scenario in the workplace. Somebody who's mentoring you is a teacher. So we need teachers. How can we keep you guys in class? Because these little ones is sitting here, they want you.
Yeah.
How can we say, hold on, please, hang on? How can we tell a colleague who's saying, I'm putting up my resignation, this end of the year, that's enough? How can we encourage that person?
I would hope that you wouldn't get to that point. I would feel really bad if it got to the end of the year and someone was telling me they were quitting and I didn't know anything about it. So I think it's really important as a profession that we support each other, as colleagues, that we talk. That's why the staff room's really important, or sitting down together at lunch, so that if someone is having difficulties, then you can offer advice. I've had that experience this year with a colleague. We were teaching the same group of children, and I just said, well, how about you try this and this, see if you can get these kids on board. And she did, and she had success, and she turned her class around.
Yes.
So I think if people are struggling to find someone to talk to within their school, then there's other places they can go to talk to people. But definitely supporting each other in the profession is critical.
Very, very important. You're right. Yeah. I mean, this applies to any job scenario, to be honest. If you are not supported in whatever work environment you are, you get the burnout. It doesn't matter being a teacher, medicine, law, or whatever it is,
And teaching's so complex, we're not only looking at the children's academic results, it's about their social development, it's about their behavioural development, and you can't do all that on your own. And that's the big thing, is making sure you don't have that view that I must do this on my own, because it's not possible.
It's not possible.
So it's really about having those relationships with your colleagues as well, so you can be talking and finding out different ways to work with students, so that you're not getting to that point of wanting to leave the profession.
That's right. Again, the other article I was reading about England, some teachers, especially the male teachers, are saying they're spending lots of time when they go home planning for the next day lectures or lessons. As such, they got little time to themselves. Most of the time in planning, then they have to go and execute the lesson again. So they even got time, like you're saying, knowing about yourself and having a social life and burning out, to avoid it by all means.
The profession is a profession where you can keep working and finding different solutions and ways to do things, but it's about you calling it. That's enough for today. I need to step away from this now, have a break, because you can keep going and looking on websites for different activities and looking for pretty things to put on worksheets or on PowerPoints or however you teach. But you need to have a point where
this is enough.
And to know that's good enough. That's great. What you're doing is a fantastic job already. And I think a lot of teachers that I've worked with we do have high expectations about ourselves. And that can put a lot of pressure on the individual person too.
So in other words, you're aiming for your children or to get high grades, and you think maybe low grades reflects on you?
In some respects, yes, it can. They will have that thought. So the high expectations there, but also a teacher wants to give the students the best they can.
Of course.
So that we're giving them better opportunities and helping them. So it's the nature of the job.
That's right. Well, there you go. Well, I think we could talk this forever. I like your input. I like that you're holding on. You're resilient. You have worked ways of using this proactive strategy in maybe reducing stress.
Yes.
Rather than taking the reactive one, where it happens, then you react to that.
Yeah.
It's planning in
Yeah.
advance, and again working around the child, trying to know the child, and try to understand the child, try to know the parents, try to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. Can I say though, again, we are human, and there may be that times where we do react. We're human.
That's right.
And for teachers not to beat themselves up
Right,
when
yeah.
they do react, because it happens in life.
That's
We're
good.
not perfect.
That's right.
And we're learning and growing constantly
Of
every
course.
day in life.
Of course, you do your best. You do your best.
Take that pressure off. They don't have to be perfect every day.
That's right. Okay.
They're human. Yes.
Right, we thank you so much for coming to the Dog Dave Show. What these ladies have said today is purely your own opinion. You're not representing any organization, you're not representing your employer, you are just talking from your own experience, purely in your own capacity. Therefore, I mean, there's no litigation against you, and don't try to bash them, make comments, whatever. That's how they feel. The whole point here is just to help each other. They're trying to help their colleague to stay in the profession. So appreciate that you've come to the Dog Dave Show, and it has been a pleasure having you on the show. All right, until we meet again on the Dog Dave Show, keep well, keep safe, and God bless you. Bye-bye for now.